Hey, shalom to the Akim out there of the hopeful elect. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Ba'Shem Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone. Salute to the sincere Akim out there of the hopeful elect, man. Salute to you, brothers. All right. I'm gonna entitle this video. I'm gonna entitle this one. We're gonna get the pick of the litter, the younger the better. All right. And inspiration to that came from watching Apostle Tahar's video. That he uploaded about 2 hours ago on his channel, various topics with the date, with the current date on it, which is March 29th, 2026. All right. He had said something. He said that going into Jacob's trouble, how bad these women gonna have it, and how a lot of these women got it bad right now. And he said, I'm not quoting verbatim what he said, but he said that a lot of these women who've been playing hard to get, they're gonna be open off of us, man. All right, men, meaning men of wisdom, men, that have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, pursuing to the scriptures. All right, it says, knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy time. Okay, so the Lord is only dealing with his people, man. The prophets of Israel, the believers of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Okay, and a lot of these women, they're gonna see that, they're gonna notice that. Scriptures also talk about how a lot of these men are gonna be getting killed off in the society. We are talking about Jacob's trouble, right? Who are Jacobs? Who are the sons of Jacob? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, North American Indians. Okay, so-called white man got it out for you. The nation of Edom, the U.S. government. Okay, we're at a current state of war. If you've been under a rock for the past 4 weeks, 5 weeks, or whatever. Okay, the U.S. just deployed 3,000 Marines out there to the Middle East, to the Gulf states. Okay, and there's going to be a draft set up eventually. Okay, and wars are going to intensify in the Middle East and in different parts of the world. So, there's going to be a short supply of men in this society. So the men of the Lord will have the pick of the litter. We will pick and choose what woman we want to deal with, man. All right. And like Apostle Tahar said, and I know he gets a lot of slack for saying it, but the younger the better. All right. The younger the better. A lot of you old hags, all right, you cougars, you washed up whores of our nation who done slept around with so many different niggas. All right, ain't nobody gonna be checking for you. You uplifted with pride now, because you got a altered body that you paid for by some fucking nip tuck surgeon. Okay, to have you looking like Cardi B, Ice Spice, one of these little young sluts out here in the music industry that constantly gracing your television screen or your computer and social media and shit like that. That's the trendy look to be. Okay, but when shit really hits the fan, people ain't gonna be checking for, men ain't gonna really be checking for hoes like you, because you're washed up and you're fake, all right. But we're gonna get the pick of the litter. I'm gonna start off with the first scripture, Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. All right. And in that day, 7 women, which 7 is a number that represents completion. Okay. So it could be literally more than 7 women. One man is going to have more than 7 women. So you can understand. All right. The Apostle Tahar broke that down, which I've heard him break that down plenty of times. Okay. All right. That we can have hundreds of women. In the kingdom, we're going to have hundreds of women. All right. And once society breaks and the time of Jacob's trouble come, because the so-called white man is so desperate to keep his kingdom intact, shit going to hit the fan. Shit is going to hit the fan where it's going to be total chaos out here, anarchy and lawlessness. Okay. So there ain't going to be no 911 to come rescue a bitch that's being raped. All right. So women are going to be looking for a strong man, or a man with wisdom and knowledge and understanding, strong mentally, okay? You know, because most of them big brownie niggas, all right, that's that's young and full of youth and vigor, all right. A lot of them guys gonna be getting drafted into that war. A lot of them niggas gonna get drafted into that war. A lot of them niggas gonna wind up in concentration camps, being tortured by the so-called white man. A lot of them gonna be wind up dying in the streets of America, man. There's gonna be race wars, all kind of shit. A lot of them gonna perish in the famine. All of the plagues that's gonna happen to Jacob, like the scriptures tell you, Jeremiah 30:7, the time of Jacob's trouble. All right. So that's why the scriptures say, in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man. And this is talking in particularly to Israelite men of the hopeful elect. All right, the elect of the nation of Israel. You know, we're gonna have multiple women to choose from. All right, and like Apostle Tuhar said, the younger the better. You know, because like I said, a lot of these women are washed up, man. A lot of these older women, they're washed up. They're whores. You know, and they're fake. They manipulated their bodies through getting all kind of surgery, you know, to alter their look. All right, because the only nigga that could be interested in you bitches that put silicone in your fucking chest and concrete in your ass, gotta be a drug addicted fucking moron, man, type of nigga, you know. And that's what Hollywood and the music industry is full of. You know, all them rap niggas and all them R&B singers and them stupid ass athletes, you know, and them dumbass actors in Hollywood, all of them niggas are on drugs, man. You know, so they're fucking delusional. Okay, that's why they're lust driven when they see these stupid bitches with the Botox in their lips and the plastic surgery all in their face, and big silicone chest that looks ill proportionate. All right, injections of concrete in their ass to make their backside appear bigger, and it looks abnormal in all reality. But when you're on drugs, that shit, I'm pretty sure that shit looks amazing, man. You know, because them niggas are delusional, man. And that's what a lot of these older women have done to themselves. They're fucking ruined themselves, man. That's why the younger the better. Pick of the litter, the younger the better. You know? All right? And in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Because women are going to have to go back to that womanly state, that state of being a woman, meaning a servant to a man, a servant to her husband. Okay? Because you women, a female means woman means female servant. That's what it means. Okay? You know, so you women are naturally servants unto men, because you are the weaker vessel. You know, it's in your nature to want to serve your man. See, Satan, the so-called white man, pushed that bullshit out there to you women to be rebellious to your man and want to be equal to your man. All right, when that's totally impossible. Even though, because it's the so-called white man that gives you that he extends that liberty to try to be equal and usurp authority over men, you know. And if a man bucks up against a woman who tries to usurp authority over him, what is she going to do? She's going to run to another man, and particularly the so-called white man. All right, she's going to call 911. She's going to dial the police department, you know, and have her husband or her man arrested. Okay, clearly showing you that a woman is not equal to a man if she has to go and call another man to deal with her man, you know. But you women about to go back to that womanly state, man, that feminine state, you know, because a lot of you bitches are too masculine, man. You know, another thing, when you look at these older women, these this is the reason why we're gonna have younger women, is what I'm trying to address. You know, you older women have ruined yourselves, man. You ruined yourselves. You got tattoos up the ass, man. You know, you see these broads, they tattooing their face, they tattooing their arms, they got the whole sleeve, and their whole goddamn arm looks green with all of these fucking tattoos, man. Washed up tattoos, you know. tattooing their breasts, tattooing their private areas. Got that damn tramp stamp on their back. You know? All of these crazy piercings and shit, man. You know? They look like a bunch of fucking freaks, man. Like circus freaks. I'm talking, these are the older women. When I say older women, I ain't talking about these 90-year-old grandmas and shit like that, great grandmas or whatever. But I'm talking about, you know, I'm in my 40s, man. You know? So I'm talking about women from my era. All right? Some that are a little bit older, even some that are a little bit younger, you know? In they mid to late 20s and 30s, you know, and they entering their 40s and 50s, you know? Them women, they outdated, man, and they fucking ruined themselves, man. With all kind of tattoos and shit, man. So you look at the younger woman, all right? Some of these adolescent girls that are becoming women, some of them are getting tattoos as well, but you know, but they don't even have the finances to be able to go out there and get the surgery to fuck their body up, you know. You probably still gotta ask permission to get a tattoo if they were sneak and get a tattoo, but they don't really have the money to go out there. They gotta get the money from somewhere, you know, from their parent or some boy or whatever they might be dealing with to go get, you know, a fucking tattoo to start ruining their body, you know. But they're not on that level like the older women, but they're inspiring to be like these older women and the people that they see in social media and on TV, okay? But they still young, you know. So they haven't fucked their bodies up, man. That's why the younger the better, you know. I totally understand what Apostle Dawar was saying when he said that, you know. It says we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, meaning they're gonna go back to being women. Eat our own bread, meaning they're gonna go back to cooking food, all right. Wear our own apparel, meaning they're gonna go back to sewing clothes, you know, doing things that women are supposed to do. There's a such thing as woman work, all right. And a woman's responsibility is to guard the house, you know, cook food, you know, knit blankets, knit curtains, knit clothing, you know. That's what every woman should know how to knit, should know how to sew. Every woman should know how to cook, okay? Every woman should definitely be big up on feminine hygiene, you know. All right, but when you look at, you know, due to these curses, our women are fucking disgraced. They're not women anymore, man. Okay, they're no longer women. You know, a lot of bitches don't even know how to cook, and I know these bros don't know how to sew. I know they don't know how to sew and knit. You know, like the old grannies used to knit and sew. They used to, you know, knit some swaddle clothes for newborn babies and make little baby outfits and pajamas and shit like that. You know, the grannies used to do that, man. But these young girls today, they don't know how to do that shit, man. You know, but they're gonna go back to knowing that. They're gonna learn. Okay. It says, only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Only let us be called by thy name. All right. When a woman gets with a man, she takes on that man's name. Okay. That's the whole thing of marriage, right? When even today in society, when a woman marries a man, when she walks down the aisle, they exchange vows or whatever, and the man, you know, the sucker puts a ring on her fucking finger, and they go before the priest and say their I do's. They're pronounced man and wife. That woman takes on the last name of the man she just married. Okay, so it says only let us be called by thy name, meaning what? That woman knows she belongs to that man. You know, she's accepting the fact that she belongs to a man. Okay, she's property. She is property of that man. All right. It says to take away our reproach. Yeah, because all hell is gonna break loose in this society, man. These women gonna be catching hell. These women gonna be catching hell, and if they don't want to catch hell, they're gonna have to get with an Israelite man, a man of the elect, of the hopeful elect, all right, of the elect. Let me stop saying hopeful elect, all right, a man who's elected by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shah. That's the only way she gonna fucking survive, man. All right, all that shit y'all bitches go to church thinking that you know, you can have a personal relationship with the Lord. Y'all fucking delusional. The pastor done lied to you. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 12. I see Isaiah gets on these women a lot, man. You know, and he keeping it real when it comes to these broads. But this is Isaiah 13, verse 12. It says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. All right. So the Lord said he will make a man more precious than fine gold. Okay. Gold is a rare metal. You know, gold is a rare metal. It's not in abundance as compared to other metals. You know, like iron and copper and shit like that. Aluminum. You know, gold is a rare metal. So there's not going to be a lot of men. This is how drastic the judgment of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah is going to become on the planet Earth. All right, there's not going to be a lot of men on this planet once these plagues hit. Once the Lord judges this place. All right, women outnumber men anyway. You know, that's just natural. There's naturally more women than men. Okay, that's because a man can have more than one woman, you know. But it's going to be, men are going to even become more rare in the upcoming days, especially during the time of Jacob's trouble, which we're fastly approaching. Okay, you know, considering these wars, considering, you know, the domestic affairs in America with ICE coming down on Israelite men who might fit the description of an immigrant or someone who crossed the border illegally. Okay, so a lot of them are getting rounded up, thrown in concentration camps, and deported out of the country. You know, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the country that they came to America from. All right, you know, you got that prison out there in what's that, El Salvador. You know, they sending Jake to Africa. You know, and a lot of them, Jake's sending to Africa, a lot of them Latino brothers, man. You know, from the Northern Kingdom. Okay, so it's going to be a rarity of men. That's why the Lord said, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. All right, and when it comes to the elect of the nation of Israel, we're the least of our nation. That's 1/3 of our nation. Okay, the 2/3, the majority of our people. All right, the Lord is going to do away with them. The Lord is going to kill them off. He's going to judge them. All right. So the 1/3 is who the Lord is talking about, being more precious than fine gold. Okay. So, yeah, we are going to have the pick of the litter, because women are going to come to that realization that they're going to need a man to survive. You know, if they want to live, if they're not willing to die, they're going to have to get with a man. All right. And not just any particular man, but a man of the Lord, a man whom the Lord is dealing with. Okay. This is Isaiah chapter 32, verse 2. It says, and a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Okay. So a man is going to be that sanctuary, so to speak, for a woman. All right, a man is going to be that sanctuary for a woman. See, these women right now, they fucking bugged out, been listening to Esau so much, the so-called white man, that they think that they can just do shit on their own. You know, hence the term independent woman. You know, I remember growing up in the 90s, you had all them damn TV shows like Living Single. All right, you had you know, Living Single was a big one. But shit, even the Cosby Show, when you had Claire Huxtable, she was a lawyer and she was pretty much running the fucking household. Okay. You know, these women were these women just knew up and down that they were up. You know, they was on one, man. You know, they had it made. You know, they were better. They you know, they didn't need a man to survive. Okay. You know. But the scriptures say otherwise. It says, and a man shall be a hiding place from the wind. You know, that wind is talking about destruction. High winds are destructive. You know, just, you know, watch the Weather Channel. Watch, you know, the weather forecast. You know, anytime a storm is brewing or a tornado comes, that's high winds, man. You know, and it causes destruction in its path, uprooting trees. You know. tearing down houses, power lines and shit. You know, it brings destruction. All right. The Lord said, "And a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind." You know, this is for you women, so you women can know that you're gonna have to be under the rule of a man. There's no such thing as that. The Lord didn't intend for women to be independent. There's no woman that should be out there walking around freely on her own. And if she is, she's fair game. Okay? To be snatched up by a man. You know? See, you people are westernized and super emotional. All right? And because that's how the devil deceived you, man. That's why the so-called white man is known as the devil, which is the deceiver. All right? You know? You got women thinking that they could be equal to men. You got these women out there dyking, thinking that they tough. They bitches is in the gym. A lot of these women in the gym looking for men, really, trying to entice men. But then you got this, the dyked out ones who's really trying to build muscle mass and they taking testosterone pills and shit like that. They really think that they are equal to a man, because when people think of men, you think of brawn and muscles and might, okay? But what you people don't think about is wisdom, which women lack. Women lack wisdom. The Lord didn't bless women with wisdom, well, at least not on the level of a man, okay? And a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest, meaning them storms, all right? A cover from them storms, as rivers of water in a dry place. Yeah, if you trekking through a desert, man, and ain't been water, you've been trekking for miles and haven't come in contact with any water, the minute you see a river, all right, that's gonna be some major relief to you, man. It's gonna be like salvation to you. So a woman can only be saved through a man of the Lord, so you can understand, all right? It says, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. That's right, because when that sun is beating on your ass, you're going to need some type of shade, okay? You're going to need some type of shade because the sun will fucking destroy you. These Edomites know that because the sun has always been an enemy to Esau, to you natural born lepers. You Edomites, you so-called white people, you Caucasians, all right? So a man is going to be like a shadow of a great rock in a weary land, in the desert, for these women. So, brothers out there, man, that's in the truth, we catching all kind of hell, and we got to deal with, the bruteness and the harshness of this fucking wicked society. It's us against the world, man. All right, but things are about to start looking up. The more and more you watch the news and you see the chaos and the wars and shit brewing up in America, and the rise of the inflation of the prices of the cost of living, the hyperinflation and devaluation of the dollar, okay? That's what looks bad for the world is an uplook for us, man. Is a good look for us, brothers of the hopeful elect, okay? All right, remember that, man. The Lord is coming back to judge, man, and this knowledge is more precious than anything. Knowledge and wisdom that the Lord gave us is more precious than anything in this world, man. So don't take it for granted. We at the end of this thing, hold fast, man. And I'm gonna end it on that note. Say shalom, wa barakatuh to you brothers out there. Lord willing, I'll see you in the next one. Shalom.